do. And welcome to the platform, Jeremy
Hey, what's
McDonald.
going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Wow. I know you got in on the tail end of that. That was that was a lot.
I've been literally excited about this for a couple days just because it's called the BFF Festival. My best
Yes,
friend forever.
yes.
You meant Black Friday, but that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
went with.
yeah,
The
yeah.
stories we tell ourselves.
Yes. No, that's what it ended up. I don't remember how it came out, but I was like, oh, that's BFF. And
Oh,
so
I
that,
know. I've been in meetings with you where you just come up with stuff just like that and you'll be super excited and it's good stuff. But my new best friend forever is Shiraz. A couple things. He likes Doritos. He
yes.
likes Dungeons and Dragons, and
Mhm.
he literally was a chameleon because he was on one. You notice his background changed from the VIP Zoom call earlier to, I kind of, where is
Yes,
he? Oh, he's at his friend's house, stepping out for a second to have this interview. How incredible is that? So it's
yes,
just good stuff.
yes, yes. I'm gonna gather all of us together very soon. And so we can all just have just a fabulous time just
Wow, I'm
with
gonna do a cruise, and everybody should just join us on a
wolf.
cruise. 7 days. I'm gonna be putting the deposits down at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be pushing for 200 people this time. My last one was 126.
Wow.
7 days. So we get to hang out on VIP and Zoom, and that's wonderful. I love VIP stuff. But here's the cool thing: imagine being with the speakers and eating dinner with them for 7 days, going on excursions with them to the Mayan ruins or to the beach, and getting to experience them just being people.
That's
And so
awesome.
that's my dream. I own a business called Spirit World Travel where I'm going to take people to spiritual places all over the world. So
That is awesome. And
so
I will tell you, my daughter's been trying to get me to go on a cruise, my youngest daughter, for forever. I wouldn't. I will go though on one because I will trust it because of the energy. I don't trust anything else.
well,
It's
the thing is, there's a lot of misconceptions about cruises, and COVID really put a lot of misconceptions out there. And you can't use Carnival Cruise Lines as a benchmark for anything, not putting anybody down. But it's just one of those things. And so we're talking about storytelling alchemy, right? Because I can
Please,
get off on tangent.
please. No, that's fine. I mean,
And
I'm sure that. So, tell us about storytelling alchemy and how that came about. Like, what is it? What? How do you use it? What do you do? What are you doing?
well, I just started on my own personal journey, and it was one of those things where I could not figure out what I was doing. To be quite honest with you, I was just practicing on myself, and I started off on my spiritual journey, well, most of my life, to be quite honest with you. But then, about 1996, my mother started attending a women's psychic development course, and I just thought she was completely insane. I just thought, there's no way any of this is real. I was probably, in 1996, I was 22 years old, so I was young, and I was thinking more about what club I was going to and what I was drinking next and what clothes I was going to be buying. I just wasn't thinking about that kind of stuff. But then, a couple years later, I had been going to things with my mom, but not really into it. And so I had a headache one day, and she said, "Why don't you go to me to this Reiki share?" And
Mm.
I still really thought she was crazy, but she convinced me to go so she could buy me dinner. So the story in here is just built into, none of this is real, all that kind of stuff, blah blah blah. Well,
Mhm.
fast forward, I'd been now at that point, 2006. I'd been meditating. I'd been working as a psychic at a place called the Psychic Cafe in Ybor City, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into that, almost 8 to 10 years. But we don't have a whole lot of time as far as like going into that massive amounts of stories. But 2006, I lost everything.
Mhm.
So they say that 2008 is when the recession happened. Well, the mortgage
Mhm.
industry started changing in about 2006, and I was the vice
Yeah.
president of a mortgage company at the time.
Wow.
And so I not only lost my job, I lost my car, I lost my home, I lost my
Mhm.
relationship, And then I
Wow.
found out that I'd put my stuff in storage, and my friend that had a key to it stole like all seven of my instruments. I had a Gibson Les Paul guitar, my
Oh
grandmother's
my God.
engagement ring, whole bunch of other stuff, and pawned them to supply his habits. Like, let's just leave it at that. So I called that was my dark night of the soul. And that went on for about 6 months. It was just one thing after another that just hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me.
Wow.
So probably about 2008, I ended up with a teacher that I was in meditation, and I heard in the next few months you'll end up with a teacher that's going to help you through all this. Well, in comes my friend Virginia Drake, and she is the best way to describe it. She's had 9 near-death experiences, and she's was a psychiatric social worker. But the most important thing she did is none of that matters. I already knew what the truth was. She just held me accountable to the truth of what I need to understand about myself. And
Mm.
so the truth is we have these stories. I remember going and applying for jobs. I really needed a job, and I had this cross purposing going on where I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
And the program of freedom rang in the back of my head. And then this feeling of insecurity. Am I good enough at
Mhm.
this to be able to do this? And all this stuff running in my mind. And I really didn't fully understand it. And so
Mhm.
just started one day. I'd light a candle in my house and start meditating, just stare at it. And every time some thought of doubt would come up, I'd just imagine throwing it in the flame and transmuting it, not burning it up, but
Mhm.
just transmuting it.
Mhm.
So then I started calling it the self-awareness game. I'd say anytime there was something that came up that upset me, triggered me, got me, all twisted up in a knot, whatever, I would say that that's an opportunity for me to look at it. And I would
Mhm.
jokingly say to all my friends, I play the self-awareness game, meaning you have free reign to tell me when something is not right, at least to you. I mean, you just did that earlier, like about an
Mhm.
hour ago. And it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, you felt the need to say it. And that's what's powerful.
Mhm.
And then as the receiver of that message, you can either choose to receive it, get upset, or, you know, not receive it at all and ignore it.
Mhm.
And so I just started looking at all of those opportunities because that's the universe speaking to us. And I started thinking, oh, wow, this is so cool because you're the epicenter of this existence. And so
Mhm.
we're always worried about past lives and all that other kind of stuff. And I find all that super fascinating too. But what I found is that if I'm the epicenter, the creation of the experience for just me, and I'm also co-creating with others in consciousness, then I only have to focus in on me and what I need to do for myself and how I interact with that co-creation. And so, what was my biggest critic? Me and my story of myself. Oh, I got this big belly. I don't have a six pack. Oh, I didn't have the clothes that I thought I should be wearing. Oh, I didn't have the title that I thought I needed to have. And why did I need all these things to make myself feel better about myself? And so, if anybody's read my book, they'll find out in the very first chapter of the book that I had an addiction to crystal meth and an addiction to sex. So, those things, the addiction wasn't actually to the chemical, the addiction was to the experiences I was having. Because the more attractive the person is I was having sex with, the better I felt about myself. So the
Mhm.
truth is, it had nothing to do with them. It had everything to the story that I'm not good enough. So,
Mhm.
so then you have to start going in and start looking at it. And so I didn't understand fully what I was doing. All I knew is I loved the subject of alchemy, and I loved the study of spiritual symbolism, and then I loved energy healing, and I loved all the work that I was doing, but I didn't know specifically what it was. And so I had a lady come to me, and she goes, "Well, you're the storytelling alchemist."
Mhm.
And she goes, "Because you're looking to look at the inner story, because when you transmute your inner story to those from those heavy thoughts, and you start changing that to where now they're lighter, like Shiraz was talking about, choose to be happy." And then there's all these people will throw out there and says, "Oh, that's toxic positivity and all that other kind of stuff." It's not when you've done the inner work. Now,
Right.
when you're not authentically, when you're not happy, but you're acting happy, that's toxic positivity. And why are you doing that? There's a story behind that. And
Mhm.
that story behind that is maybe saying, well, I had to put positivity to make others feel good. When you already put that other in there, when it's at your own detriment, then
Mhm.
that is a toxic story. And that's something to look
Mhm.
at, because there should be, even in emotional intelligence, they say that you have to become self-aware, and then there's self-awareness, and then there's social awareness.
Mhm.
And so it's a twofold street, and it's always give and take. And that's talks about that in spirituality. There's always what we put out there comes back a hundredfold.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that we get just caught up on these ideas of who we think we should be. So if you look back at your life and you look at where those stories came from, it's not about good or bad or anything like that. I was born to a single 16-year-old mother, and my father was 15. He moved to Arizona when I was 1 years old, so I didn't really know him until I was 11. My mother put herself through college to become a nurse. Her mother was raised in the Great Depression, and I was part of a very restrictive Christian church that I was in until I was about 14 years old. My mother left when I was 12. So you can see where some of these thoughts of limitation start to come from. And
Right.
everybody has one of these stories.
Yes.
and
Yes, we do.
so and so then you start looking at those stories and you start saying, my mother did the best she could. I mean, she was an incredible mother.
Yep.
She taught me a lot of stuff about energy healing and shamanism and all that other kind of stuff. But she had her own story that was running in her head. She literally wanted to be a backpack around Europe and do art and photography. She had her own dark room when she was 17, where she was developing her own pictures. Now I realize the ones that are younger now, we have digital, and that's just not a thing. But you know, back in the day, her the story was my mother wanted adventure, and then when she had a son, and she never would have said, "Oh, I regretted having a son," because she said that was an adventure in itself, having a child.
Mhm.
But she had hesitated a lot to do things because if it was going to affect her son, then she wasn't going to do it. And so she, at about 49, she called me one day. She was crying and she said, um, I've always been a good mother. I've always been a good daughter and all these things, but I've never just been Lori. And she said, so from now on, I'm going to live for me. I love you, but you're a grown man now. You can take care of yourself. I was applauding. I thought it was cool. So she went on and lived another 5 years, and she passed away at 54, or transitioned at 54.
Ooh.
And so, but you have to, when we look at these stories, and I want to just throw this out there. I want you guys just to think, because now it's time just for us to really start thinking and not just me talking. I want you to look down, and I want you to just do a real quick exercise. If you have a piece of paper in front of you, I want you to write a number at 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll give everybody a second. So a piece of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then those little five numbers, that I want you to write down the 5 most important relationships, the one that you put the most energy into. So I want you to think about it. Now. I don't want you to put in the names. I want you to put in like children,
Mm.
friends, mom, dad, boss, at work, whatever. And I want you to write all those down, and then I'll give you instructions after that. But I'll give you a minute or so to do that. So 5 things, 5 relationships that you put the most energy into, and then we'll go from there. And Lisa's gonna be my benchmark, so when she gets done, that's when we'll move on. Perfect. Thank you, Shakima. All right. So now the next, I want you to write another set of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But on this set, I want you to write down the 5 most important things, meaning goals that you have. Grow my business, exercise, fitness, health, whatever it is, travel more. It doesn't matter what it is. Get a promotion at work, more money. There's no right or wrong, just those type 5 things. Get just another maybe 30 seconds, and then we'll go into it. Don't think too much about this. All right. So it looks like Lisa's got it done. So now what I want you to do, last part of this, those two lists, I want you to prioritize them based on what you put your energy into on a regular basis. Out of the relationships and the goals, I want you to put number one, this is what I spend my most time on. Two, I spend the most second, you get the theme, down to number 10, because you got 10 items there. Okay, maybe just like 10 or 15 seconds more, and then we'll jump into the next part of this. All right, looks like Lisa's good. I imagine everybody else is too, because what I want you to do is I'm going to ask you a couple rhetorical questions. And if you want to put the answer in the chat, in the comments, that's great. But it's more about you thinking about yourself. The first question I'm going to ask you is on the relationship side, are you anywhere anywhere in that top 5? Okay. All right. So like I said, no right or wrong, but I will throw the question out there. If you're not in that top 5, the question I'm going to throw out to you is why? And so I'll get to the point with that in a second. But then I want to ask you the next question. Your goals, and the things, the dreams, whatever you want to call them, are they anywhere when you prioritized it? You may have one or two, or you may have all of them, but are any of those in the top 5?
For self? No.
No. So you prioritized both
Oh,
groups of 5. Now, are your goals and dreams, are they anywhere in your top 5 or where you prioritized?
I have one that's in there.
Okay. All right. So the reason why I asked this question is that when we're talking about storytelling alchemy, there is a bunch of stories that we tell ourselves. A lot of them are codependent. And so I'm throwing this out there that why wouldn't you be number 1 on your relationship list? And some people will say, no, my children have to be more important. My grandchildren have to be more. My church community has to be more important than everything else. But what I'm going to throw out there to you is that if you were number 1, your relationship to everybody else would be whole, because you'd be working from a whole perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I've done this for Christian churches too, by the way, and they throw out, well, God needs to be number 1. I said, if you were number 1, your relationship to God would be whole, because you would be a child of God that's operating from a whole experience. It doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs are. And then if your priorities, now we're not saying that your family and your friends and your loved ones are not a priority. But if you are happy and all your goals are being met, your health concerns, your business concerns, everything is being met, don't you think that your relationships to other people are going to be a lot more enriched? And the interesting part, because now just in the last year, my best friend and his boyfriend are going to be my business partners for the cruises, because they got to go on one and they just thought it was really cool. And so now, not only do I get to have the priority with my friends, the people I love, but they get to be a part of my business that excites me because I trust them. And so things just start to fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is when we constantly put everybody else first in our energy, we've all heard this. This is not a new concept, but we have to start really looking at it and start planning out our days and in weeks. Now, I'm not saying you have to write out official business plans or all that kind of stuff, but what I do is I manage my calendar based on my relationships. And people are like, "What are you talking about?" Well, my relationship to number one is most important, not from a selfish perspective, but from a perspective that when I'm a whole person, when I am actually interacting with somebody, I'm gonna give them my everything. And then the reciprocal, because people mirror, this is something they talk about in NLP as well, when people will mirror what you do. So, and if they don't, they move themselves right out of your life. So, and you don't
Mhm.
even have to do anything. That's the most important thing. I generally don't have to do anything. People will just remove themselves from my life, and I'm giving them my whole. I have a big thing people's birthdays. I always do big things for their birthdays, and it's just because I think they're fun. And I actually get a little bit more enjoyment probably out of it than they do. And so, but the story behind that is we've been told that it's selfish to make yourself number one. So that's a big story right there. And when you
Mhm.
start to look at that from a perspective, where there's an old phrase that it says, "Well, my cup runneth over." That's not about. It's about what you're a full cup, and now whatever spills over is what you give out to other people, and it
Mhm.
comes back a hundredfold. So now you're constantly being replenished, as opposed to constantly being drained. And I'll run across. I have got a lot of clients, especially I have a lot of doctors and nurses that are my clients, and chiropractors and psychologists and everything else.
Mhm.
And they come to me and they're like, "I'm just drained all the time. I mean, besides your profession, where are you drained?" And they'll end. A lot of them will be have spouses that don't work, don't take care of the kids, don't take care of the house. They're not a full partner, and generally haven't had a job their entire life, or it's off and on. And it blows my mind away that this very educated person is now, because there's a part of them that wants this love, and maybe when they were younger it was different. Now they've grown, and you see this person that's very well educated, got a good career, and they're not getting the how do I say it, the reciprocal relationship they need. Well, there's a story running in their head that I've been with this person for so long, and da 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 da. Well, relationships change, the dynamics of relationships change as we grow, and if the relationship doesn't change with us, then the relationship probably is not going to make it. But the two people that can work
Mhm.
in balance with each other and grow and actually build together in the dynamics of how we grow as individuals, then you're going to see a relationship that's going to be successful.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those things where I start to look at these things and watch these inner stories that go on within all of us. And it's not just me, it's everybody has these stories that are telling us, "Hey, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings." And it's not about hurting feelings, because you can always do things with grace. There's a you can have you can be depressed and handle it with grace. I mean, I've Lisa's been on the phone with me a couple times. We've only been friends a few months, and I've had some things happen since we've been friends. And in it, you can handle it with grace. It doesn't have to be like tangents on social media, and or yelling at your friends or the people you loved. And so there's a
Mhm.
story that causes us to react, and there's that knee jerk reaction. And
Mm.
so, but if you stop, if you feel that temptation to do that knee jerk reaction, that's when you pause. And I always say to my inner beast, I call it my inner beast, or my temper tam child, I said, "Get in the back seat and put the safety restraint on. We'll talk when we get home." And so then we get home, and I actually sit and I spend time in meditation. Like I was saying in the VIP, I spend time every night spending time with myself.
Yeah.
I've stopped calling it meditation, by the way. I tell people, my clients, I just want you to hang out with yourself for 10 minutes and breathe. And so we can all hang out with ourselves for 10 minutes and breathe. You don't breathe enough anyways. I can guarantee you Western culture does not breathe enough. I've been doing this now for over 20 years, and I still will take these deep breaths in, and it'll get this euphoric feeling, which tells me that when I'm out doing my normal day, I'm not breathing the way I should. And why is that? Because we're always, as human beings, on edge. And so now there's people that have done a lot of inner work, and they're not as on edge as they normally would. But
Mhm.
send them on something that is not new, that they haven't explored on the emotional intelligence scale, or trying to be self-aware, and I can guarantee you they're going to be on edge a little bit. I don't care how meditated they are, or what is, I saw a shirt that says I'm heavily meditated.
Yeah.
And so
I love it.
it's like one of those things where we all have these opportunities to grow. And so what I would challenge everybody to do is I want you to start changing your way of looking at the world. So when something comes up and ticks you off, that's just a great opportunity to get to know yourself better. And so it's now you're changing something from something that's happening to you, and now it's something that's become an opportunity for you to grow spiritually, emotionally, and everything else in your life. And so and then you welcome it in. So now I welcome in issues. Now there's a thing called discernment, and there's a
Mhm,
difference between discernment and judgment, like you were talking about earlier.
mhm,
There are things where, there's people in my life that I love dearly. I love them from afar. And it's
mhm,
not that I judge them, it's just that they're at that maybe one time we were great together. Now their energy has changed and mine has changed, and we're just not in the same place that we used to be.
mhm,
And their energy doesn't necessarily work with mine, you know.
mhm,
But I do love them. And it's one of those things where, but that's for my own peace, because I've been looking for a life of having more peace and growing and understanding myself more. And you can repeat the same lesson over and over and over again until you're finally like, what's the definition of insanity? And so
right.
and there's one of those things, and I'm sure everybody can look back at their life too. Like I adore my family, but when I'm looking back at my childhood, I think about how they are always in arguments, like always in arguments about politics or about whatever. And I
Mhm,
just start and I just start to look at it. I'm like, why? And so when you're arguing, you're screaming to be heard.
mhm,
And I want you to really look at that. Think about that. I want you to go on your social media at some point today. And I know everybody knows there's going to be somebody screaming something on their social media, and you're going to be like, "What are they talking about?" And some of them might even offend you, and some of them are going to make you go roll your eyes. And you're going to in that just you're in that moment you're going to be in judgment. That's okay. I mean, it's just one of those things. Use this as an opportunity to grow. And then you start realizing, wait a second, have I ever been at a point where I felt like I needed to be heard and I was desperately looking for that opportunity to be heard?
mhm.
And or something in me felt invalidated, or I felt less than, or something along those lines. And so it's and by the way, written word is only 7% of our communication skills. So body language is 55%. So you see all these arguments on social media, and I just giggle, and I'm like, did they look up the UCLA um, experiment that happened in the 70s where they said written words are only 7% of our communication? You got all these people arguing over something, and they probably have no clue what the intention was behind what was being said.
No, they
So
don't, but that would require research, Jeremy. I
yes,
what?
and then it hits their story. So what
Oh,
I'm challenging you guys is that those triggers are your story.
yeah.
And so the question you have to ask yourself is, what story do I want to play? Do I want to play in? Do I want to play in a story where I'm enjoying it? Do I want to play in a story where I'm always angry?
Mm,
I mean, either one is fine. I mean, I don't care which one you want to play. It's up to you. But what I will tell you is that the body, when you give out love, and this is not a love and light message that a lot of people have, but when you give out love, the limbic brain doesn't know any different that you're giving love to somebody else or you're giving love to yourself. It just
okay,
knows
whoa,
that when
whoa,
you
whoa, back that one up. I need you to say that again,
okay.
please.
So
Go
you're
ahead.
the limbic brain in your body, when you're giving a hug to somebody, when you're giving love to somebody, it doesn't know any different. It just knows it's feeling love. That's all it knows. So I give you a hug, Lisa. My body is like it feels good. And so, but when I'm giving anger out, it doesn't know any difference either. It just feels anger in the body. And so
Mm,
I want you to think about that. I want you to really get self-aware and just take a few seconds to think about it. I want you to think about the last time you were really happy. Like we're all in a good energy and a good vibe right now because of the
mhm,
Black Friday event that Lisa and her team is putting on. But then I want you to think about the one time that something just really ticked you off. So
Mhm.
what ends up happening is right now our energy is very loose and we're all the body feels good and we're like, oh, this just is so great and all that other kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But the time that you were pissed off, your body was tense
Mhm.
and it was constricted. And what I want everybody to do is that we can demonstrate it by doing. I want you to put your hands up like this, like you're pushing against a wall. And let me move this where it's in the center. And then feel the tension in your hands. So that's the tension you get when you're angry, upset, stressed, all that kind of stuff. Now I want
Mhm.
you to drop your hands down to your sides, but your palms open. And I want you to allow it in. The energy changes in your body. So what happens is that on an energetic level of flow, the story of I'm angry, upset, and upset
Mhm.
is this is you're resisting, you're pushing it away. It's like putting one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas in your car. You're not going to go anywhere. But you just allow and you hit the gas to go forward, you're going to move forward. And so what ends up happening is that we get so tense on what we're offended about. And that doesn't mean don't speak truth because that's why we have a throat chakra. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that when it feels right, when it's the time. I mean, like I have to tell people how I feel about things all the time, but I don't do it when I'm angry.
Mhm.
I do it after I've processed it and then I look at it. Is this about me or is it about them?
Yeah.
And then I'll come to them and I'll even say sometimes I was like, when you said this yesterday or last week or whatever, this is how I felt. I know that those feelings are about me and I didn't, this is not something I'm okay with anymore. It doesn't feel
Yes.
good when that happens. And so those are okay things to say. And I can guarantee you'll develop stronger relationships and friendships. And the people that can't handle it, they'll leave. So I have a really close friend that Lisa's I've shown pictures of, and he and I just talked over the last couple months, and we've been
Mhm.
talking about honesty. Like I would rather somebody look at me and say, "Hey, you got a bat in the cave," than avoid it. Does
Yeah.
everybody know what a bat in the cave is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, or I don't like that shirt that you're wearing. Big deal. Big
Yeah.
deal. I mean, like, it's not a big deal to me. Like, now maybe for some people that might not be a thing, but it's one of those things where I would just rather people be honest. And there's a story in us that's been told, oh, that's not polite. But you know what? I may be wearing a shirt that I got a belly that I shouldn't be wearing because it's got the buttons kind of, doing the little, that little thing. And that's probably not okay for me to wear on stage in front of 500 people. And I would hope that Lisa would tell me, Jeremy, you either need to lose weight or not wear that shirt.
In my Cancerian way, I'd probably just be like, I really like that shirt better on you. Like literally, I would just say that. I think that color like fit like I would have such a hard time just right coming out and saying I'd just be like, I really like that one.
Yeah.
But I
And
wouldn't
here's
let you
some
go out there. That's the point. That would not happen.
yeah,
No.
I mean it's one of that's a caring friend. It's one of those things where I may look at it because there's something that we all have. We all have blinders when it comes to ourselves. And I'll look in the front of the mirror and go, "Hey, how do I look right now?" And it's one of those things where you just can't keep forward. But what we're talking about is vibration and story. So the story is either limiting or it's not limited and you're living in the flow of the universe. Well, what blocks us from the flow of the universe? It's a lot of different things, but it's our thoughts. So we think it's all about, it's of course it's about energy and what we put out there, but things
Yeah.
magically don't just drop on our lap. I just had a friend, somebody I hadn't spoke to in several years. I ran across them a few weeks ago at an expo I was speaking at, and we decided to try to go to dinner. And we went
Mhm.
to dinner last night, and I said to them, I said, one of the reasons why I stopped coming around is because you were always angry with me, and I don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
And they said back to me, I wasn't mad at you. I was mad at my own life. And
Mm.
I was taking it out on you. And so it
Mhm.
took some time because we haven't really seen each other much, but we needed that space apart to be able to talk about that. And because sometimes the energy will take us apart
Yeah.
so that we can go and think about where we're at. Not about
Yeah.
you go in your corner, I go in my corner. It's so we can grow. And
Absolutely.
so, and by the way, I don't have to be around everybody all the time. It's one of those things where I like to take time to work on myself and grow. And and work on the projects that may are important to me. I mean, I did
Yeah.
started doing that at the beginning of the year because during the pandemic, I have a group of friends. We would always do a game night every Saturday. Well, I wanted to work on this work. And
Mhm.
so I stopped coming around as much. And it had nothing to do with them personally. It had to do with the fact that I had to practice what I preached. That little exercise I had you guys do during the pandemic, they had become the top five as opposed to my books and the things I wanted to put out there, my projects that I wanted to work on, and my cruise. My cruise is my travel company, and so I had to realize, well, wait a second, you're out of alignment here.
Mhm.
And so and I had 5 months this year to really spend a lot of time with myself and working on myself. And that's one of those things that I don't care who you are, these teachers out there, I teach through my vulnerability
Mhm.
and I teach through my pain. And
Mhm.
so one of the things, nothing against any teacher, but I'm just saying what I do is I want the people that I teach to know that I have pain and things I'm working through, and how I'm teaching them is through how I worked it through it myself. So I can
Absolutely.
say with experience, I've been through a dark night of the soul. I've been through a few of them.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, it's powerful stuff. How are we doing on time? Sorry, I'm just talking.
No, it's fine. We have a couple more speakers for today. So no, this has been a fabulous. I love how both you and Shiraz just kind of like flowed right into one another, right? How this was just perfect about telling the stories and the stories that we tell ourselves and rewriting our own realities. And
Mhm,
this little exercise was completely eye-opening because I'm like, "Oh, wait, how come only one of my 5 goals for myself
mhm.
is even" now, granted, one of them is number 1, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one,
Good job.
but the other 4 are way down at the
Well,
bottom.
let's start with that. Let's say we had a goal of fitness, and
Yeah,
some people would say, "Well, I've got to run my kids and all this other kind of stuff." I'm like, well, what could you do if you had more energy because you had a healthy body? And how much
absolutely,
more energy would you have to work with your family and do things with your family? In your family,
absolutely,
a lot of times you got these men, you heard this classic story. You got this male or female that's working really hard, and they're working hard to make money for their family so they can have more than what they had when they were a kid. That's a common story, right?
right,
And so then if you stopped and you said, well, wait a second, I have to look at my children. What is it they are looking at? What do
right,
they need? So, yeah, there's just a
right,
lot.
absolutely, but this is amazing. Now, you've got a couple of amazing offers, one of which I was just like, "If I had caught a hold of you before you put it up there." But that's okay. What's your free gift for folks, your free resource today
Well,
for folks?
I have one, that's just a free audio, that
Awesome.
I think, they've already put up, and it's called Peace Be Still, and it's me and my spiritual teacher that is just talking, about how to find peace in your life.
Yeah.
And the second one is for the VIPs. I'm not sure what you're referring to that you would smack me about, but it's a 30-minute session with me for free. And it gives you a gift code. And so now, am I going to at the end of that say, "Hey, do you want to continue on with the more sessions with me?" Absolutely. But majority of the session is going to be about you and working
Yeah.
with you. So,
Absolutely. So I want you guys VIP, if you haven't signed up as from Jeremy, if you haven't registered yet for this whole thing and you want to access that free VIP, right, option there, I'm going to have you to go to his link that we just put down there. Sign up for the event itself. Those of you watching on YouTube for free that you have been for a couple of days, you already know you didn't even sign up for that. But we want you to do that so you can get the access to the VIP. And then if you have already signed up as being on the registration list, here is your link to sign up for VIP as well. And we will match you up there and make sure that you get access to that very valuable gift from Jeremy. I, as always, appreciate you. I always love the time, and we have not like we talked every day for like, or at least once a week for like 2 months, and all of a sudden like life happened, and then we just
yeah,
like
life. Well, do
started
we
this.
want to talk about like for 10 seconds? Do we want to talk about my course with your course? Do we want to talk about that now or do we want to?
Yeah, yeah. And then Jade in the Wings will have to kind of we'll get you on we'll condense it just a little bit, and then we have Shantae, and then we're wrapping it up. But yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry,
so
Jade.
no, that's totally fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
The cool thing, okay, so we met at a networking group,
Mhm.
and then just kind of like started getting to know one another because we both figured there was something there, and I think it was actually to talk on for the podcast, exchange
Mhm.
podcast. And then I found out that Jeremy is also a corporate trainer by trade
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm.
Jimmy, and so then, those of you who already been around me, y'all know that I've got the practical light worker. Well, part of that is Lightworker Business Accelerator, and then something that I'm calling Limitless Reach, where we're really accelerating, like Yaya is part of that group, where we're really accelerating your growth, um, your business growth, right? You may already have a business, but you are ready to like take this to the next level. And part of that for me is taking your transformational programs to the next level. And Jeremy is an amazing person to help you do that. Why don't you tell them about your boot camp, and then we can tell them how we're working together?
Yeah, so I created a 9-week intensive boot camp, that'll be done via Zoom, obviously, on how to develop your own course and how to create an engaging course that people want to come to and enjoy. And so one of the things I'd looked at spiritual teachers and all these people that were teaching these courses, and if I fall asleep through them, then it probably wasn't engaging. So I was like, well, what can I do? And so I mentioned to Lisa, I've been thinking about doing a boot camp on teaching spiritual teachers how to teach and how to design their course. And so you'll learn all my 25 years of experience as a corporate trainer and instructional designer, training manager, on how I created that, but also 20 some odd years in the spiritual arena. How do you blend those two worlds and make it still engaging? And so that's what we're going to be going over in that course, and it's going to be piggybacking on well, not piggyback. It's a working
It's
collaboration with,
integrated,
yeah,
yeah.
integrated with the Heart of Inspiration and her
Yeah.
and her work. So
And so on our end, because some of you guys, if you've taken TPL, you've had the opportunity to become a limitless light worker and become certified in that. But also you've had Lightworker Business Accelerator. And we've also added one additional piece to that then on the back end where we're helping you rebrand. So I've got my team back here and the coaches as well, but we're helping you rebrand everything, taking it all to the next level. Your website, your social media, your messaging, at all of that. When do you do ads? When do you add team members? How are you going to grow and scale? Okay. So it just makes sense that you would go ahead and grow and scale and elevate your 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever week program as well for your online courses, because everybody's learning this way. So this is what integrating and working with Jeremy does the best. Now, for you all coming in, first of all, can you coaches can I mean not coaches, sorry, producers, can one of you guys, I'm gonna put a link here, a calendar link here. Um, if this interests you at all, okay, I want you guys to book a time with myself or my team and to talk to about practical lightworker or talk to about limitless reach, okay, which is or really I think we're calling it high vibe business initiative. I think that's the name I came up with. But if either of that interests you, I want you guys, especially you all that are already doing the work, and students existing or just recently graduated students, you all can grab a hold of me and we'll talk to you about that, right? But we're looking at a 6-month program with a 9-week boot camp kind of dropped right in there so you can accelerate your business to the max, or you can take his course as well solo. Okay, you could take his course solo, or we can put it all together. So, because I'm not trying to hold anybody back from doing that either.
cool.
I want that.
I'm
We need
excited.
that. Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa and team, for doing this. And it was nice to see Adelia too again because we haven't seen her in a few weeks. And
Yeah, I
so
know. And then we're gonna do hopefully in January. I'm telling a lie. No, hopefully in January or this next month we're gonna record something. We're gonna do a masterclass together. So I can't wait for that either.
Perfect.
We're gonna do our high vibe masterclass. So I can't wait. All right, guys. Thank you, Jeremy. Is there anything you want to leave us with before you go?
Be excited about this time coming up. 2023 is going to be an incredible year for everybody, and I just really feel the energy is going to, really be different. So start thinking about what you want to do and start planning out your year. And
Absolutely.
what do they all say? Have fun.
Have
So,
fun. Everybody have fun. All right. Thank you, my
all right.
friend. I will talk to you very soon.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take
Bye bye.
care. Bye.